Hello, Jeff Jobs here. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how to integrate Cloud9 with a Git repo, especially one that's based on an Eclipse structure, like with the source folder. There's been some additional talk on the Cloud9 community about this, and I want to showcase my most up-to-date solution using the force.com migration tool. First, I'm going to clean up my workspace here, and then I'll show you the little trick I use with Ant. We'll connect to a Bitbucket repo. We'll make a change and have it change on Salesforce, and then we'll commit our change back to the repo. I usually close this right off the bat, and I prefer to have the terminal just in a full view. So I'll use Option T, get to my terminal, and then I'm going to remove this README, which I don't need, and then I'm going to open up the package XML, and we're not going to use the standard Cloud9 solution. So we're going to just get rid of these and then save. And what that'll do, it'll think about it for a minute, but it'll get rid of all these folders that are there, okay? And the reason why we can't use the standard Cloud9 solution is because that doesn't support that source folder. And when you're working in a team environment where people are using other IDEs and you want to have a consistent directory structure in your repository, we'll need to find a different solution. I still love Cloud9 for its interface, its syntax highlighting, all the other great things about Cloud9 that make it fantastic, especially this wonderful bash terminal in the cloud, which I think is tremendous. We just have to do one extra step to make it compatible with other people that are using a different IDE solution. Shame on them. So we're going to go over here and uncheck this automatically synchronize. That'll prevent this from talking to Salesforce from the standard solution. And then we're going to go upload some files. So I'm going to hide my browser for a minute, and then I want to show you this directory right here. I have this on my Google Drive. It's very portable. But really, it's just these three files. We have an ant.jar file, this build.properties file, and this build.xml file. And these are found by going to the force.com migration toolset and downloading that. So let me show you what that looks like. If we go to Salesforce, which we can access directly from the Salesforce drop-down menu here, and if we go in here and type in Tools, and click on Tools, there's this force.com migration tool, and you can download that. And when you download the force.com migration tool, it gives you this example, a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll click on this, take a look at it. So it gives you, there's the .jar file, then it gives you this sample directory. Here's your build.xml and your build.properties, as well as all this other stuff. The idea is that you should be able to open the build.xml and see how it relates to these other folders and learn about how the migration tool works. I recommend making your own build.xml, custom tailored to your specifications. And I'll show you what mine looks like. And you're more than welcome, obviously, to use that if that works for you. But whatever custom XML file you want to make here, make sure you save it on a Google Drive or someplace that's accessible so you can use it over and over again. I've seen people put this directly in their repo, but I'm going to make the assumption that you don't have that luxury. So here we go. I'm going to go to File and upload the local files. I'll click Select Folder, and I'll just grab my Ant folder, which has those files I just showed you. I'm going to let it start to upload here. Now I'm going to connect Cloud9 to a Bitbucket code repository. I'm going to do that with git clone. Make sure I use the S because I don't want to type in my username over and over again. All right. Okay, bitbucket.org, my username, and then the name of my repository, which is just going to be test. Okay, it's going to want my password. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the test folder. So at this point, I have my Ant folder, which has these files allowing me to connect directly to my Salesforce instance. And then I have my repository, which has a source folder, unlike what you'd see with Eclipse or Mavens, and then a classes folder, which has a couple of classes in it, as well as a package XML, which has the whole map for this repo. Okay, so the problem that we run into is because this is not directly, I should say, because this classes folder is not directly under Cloud9, whatever the name of your project is, you're not going to be able to just use this and save this code right to your Salesforce instance. You don't want to change this directory structure because when you make your commit, you want other people to be able to fetch, rebase that commit and share back and forth. And they're not going to appreciate it if the file structure on the repo gets changed. So it's a dilemma. What do we do? What we do is we use the force.com migration tool to make our deployments, our retrieves programmatically or from the command line. That way we don't have to use this. We can still send this to our Salesforce instance. We can still compile our code online and even send this to other Salesforce instances if we want to, without changing the directory structure of the repository. And we can still use our bash terminal to make our commits and our pushes and our pulls and our fetches, etc. From Git like we normally would. So to make this work, we're going to use this .jar file, which you don't have to do anything with that file except grab it from Salesforce and make sure it's in this Ant directory. The build.property file, Salesforce has this insert your username, insert your passwords. What I've done is I've just gotten rid of that because it's annoying. However, other than that, I have not changed this file at all from what you get from Salesforce. So obviously to make this work, you're going to have to put in the username and password and security token of your Salesforce instance that you're trying to connect to. The nice thing about this file is that you can change these credentials and make deployments to different Salesforce instances. So for now, we're going to connect to, I have a developer org, which has nothing in it, and I'm going to connect to it by putting in my username, which was Cloud9 repo test. And then I'm going to put in my password, and then I'm going to grab my security token before this video. If you don't know how to get your security token, there's plenty of stuff online to help you with that. And then we paste that right up against the password. Okay, and because it's a dev org, I'm still going to use login. Obviously, if this was a sandbox, you'd want to change that to test, right? All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and save this. I am using the Vim emulation, which is why I have this red cursor. If you have questions about that, again, plenty of literature there online you can take a look at. Okay, so now with that build.properties file, I have the credentials figured out. Now in my XML, this is how I have my XML set up. First of all, I get rid of the ..dash here because I like to have these three in the same directory. And then I have a save, I have a deploy, and I have a retrieve. Now this is a very basic setup. Of course, you can customize this to your heart's content. But what save will do, it will, if it's a sandbox or a dev environment, it will just save whatever I have in my repository to Salesforce. Deploy will run all the tests in the org first before it deploys to make sure that we don't have any issues there. And both of these have rollback on error. And then the retrieve is going to grab everything from Salesforce and update the repository that I have here in Cloud9. Now my template has my repo. I want to change my repo to test, right? So first, because I'm using the Vim emulation, I can just hit / and type in my repo. There it is. Obviously what you would do if you didn't have this is you would just double click it, get rid of it, do a find and replace, and whatever works. So I'm going to delete the word. I'm going to insert test. Find the next one, delete the word, insert test. Find the next one, delete the word, insert test. There's one more, I think. Yep. Delete the word, insert test, and then save. Okay, so now I've replaced my my repo, which I put in there just for a template, and I put in the actual name of my repository in its place. Okay. So now, what I'm able to do, I can actually close this out. I'm able to take what I have here and save it to my Salesforce instance, which I connected to with my build.properties. So I'm going to pull up a terminal with Alt-T, make sure I navigate to my ant directory because that's where my ant files are, and I'll do an ant save. Okay, save, boom, some progress. And it's done. One thing that I'd like Cloud9 to look at, if they're watching this video, we didn't used to get this, but now it says unable to locate tools.jar, expected to find it, blah, blah, blah. It's interesting because it doesn't really affect the force.com migration tool, but it is kind of an ugly error that I hope they can take a look at and resolve. All right, so I've saved the code. So now I can go here, I can go to my Apex classes, and the idea would be that this is an empty org. Now it's going to have both of those classes in it. Fantastic. Okay. So now if I want to start coding, I have my cloned repo. I can just go right into the classes folder. I can pull up some code and make sure my syntax highlighting is set to Apex. And away I go. So I can do something very basic, like insert a comment. Okay. I'll save, and then I'll use Option Tab to go back to my Bash terminal. And I can hit the up arrow, which will retrieves my last command, and then just hit Enter. And now I'm going to save my changes, which, by the way, is also going to compile my code. And if there's a failure, it'll roll back, so I don't have to worry about it messing up my Salesforce. Now, if I go back over to another test, I should see insert a comment. So I'm definitely having that connectivity that I want while maintaining the directory structure so that my team members are happy because the repo is the same. Now what I'm going to do, Option Tab to go back to the code, is I'm going to do something that would normally cause a compilation error. So I'll do public static string, I'll call it string method, right? No arguments, and I'm not going to return the string. So this is one of those interesting moments where I will be able to save this in, syntactically, it's looking for braces, it's looking for the parentheses in the right spot and all that, and it doesn't give me any kind of error message or any kind of problem. However, not having that return string is going to cause a compilation error. So let's see how the force.com migration tool handles that. Option Tab to go back, up arrow, and Enter. Okay, fantastic. It fails, and it tells me in a numeric list what failed. Then it tells me the exact error message for why it didn't compile, and it even gives me the line number and column number, so I know exactly where to go to fix this. And to me, I actually prefer to have a nice error message in the terminal that can help me to fix my code rather than hunting for floating exclamation marks and hovering over and all this nonsense that you might find in Eclipse, or dealing with the problems that stack and don't delete automatically. Things like that that I've encountered with other IDEs. This is really clean. I can read that and go, oh yeah, of course, I have to go fix that. Right, so now we can do something like string hello world, string hello world equals hello world, fine, boom, and then we can return it. Right, great. So now we can save it, option tab, up arrow, enter. So you can see that it's a really straightforward workflow to make quick changes to your code and then just deploy it into the instance. And this time I have no problem. I don't have an error message to worry about. I can go back into my code here and refresh, and I can see that it's deploying everything the way that I would like it to deploy. Okay, at this point I have made a significant change to my another test class, and now I want to reflect that on my repository. So I'll open up another tab, or a terminal tab I should say, and I'll navigate to my test folder because that's where my repo is. Note that I have that nice branch indicator, as I would expect. I can do git status, and I can see that another test has been modified and needs to be committed. So I'll add it. I'll make a commit message. And then I'll push it. And there we go. So with some minimal setup, basically just uploading this ant folder, putting in my credentials, and replacing the word my repo in my build XML with the name of my repo, I'm able to use the force.com migration tool to connect to my org, to compile my code, to return compilation errors, etc. I'm able to, I didn't show you this, but I'm able to retrieve from Salesforce by using ant retrieve, which will automatically update stuff in here. And I'm able to still use git at the command line to update my repository. So now my team members can do a fetch and rebase, get the latest version of another test, and the directory structure is preserved. And it really isn't that painful, especially once you have it set up, to just hit that up arrow and enter, and there's your save command. And we're bypassing the normal save mechanism that Cloud9 has, but we're still taking advantage of the great syntax highlighting, the bash terminal that has the force CLI, the force migration tool, Git, all those wonderful things that make Cloud9 a tremendous platform. So we can sort of have our cake and eat it too. You can find me on the forums if you have any questions about this video. Love to answer them for you, and happy coding.